Earlier, everything was better, like years ago at Bear Lake. For example, the cheese cube still worked fantastic as bait. And now, well, now maybe you just have to test it again, give it a try, and simply use it again. I mean, these baits are still in the game, and the fish should still actually eat these baits. I mean, the classic candidates for cheese cube, tench, carp, the grass carp, they should still basically like this bait. And either this bait just isn't showing up in the records anymore because nobody uses it anymore, or it's not in the records because nobody uses it anymore. I think that's exactly the point. And right now, I'm just testing the cheese cube again after a very, very, very long time, just throwing it back out there with the cheese cube into the water, and let's see what happens. And yeah, obviously something's already going on here. I've already tested a bit. The first common carp, the first tench are definitely already here. And of course, to make sure the test works well, we're at a classic spot that always works quite well here at Bear Lake. Let's have a look. The fish hasn't really decided yet, I think. But this is how it looks right now. So, just about 15 minutes here now. And yeah, tench is here, common carp is here, and the grass carp is here too. And I think those are the typical candidates. So those are the typical fish that can regularly take the bait here. I'm still kind of hoping for the leather carp. Leather carp would also be really good if it reacts to this bait too, and also to the ground bait mix. We'll take a closer look at the ground bait mix in a moment. Other than that, this setup is completely basic. Of course, I'm using in-game rods and reels here, but you don't have to. I mean, if you're standing here with a normal feeder or with the Fortuna carp and an HSV, just using the loop rig, then that's exactly right here. That's exactly the right kind of fishing. Because obviously, there's pretty good frequency here, just with the cheese cube. The bait is super cheap, and you can gain percentages nicely here, and also make silver. So, it's already totally worth it, just using the cheese cube here. And where we get the cheese cube, we'll check that out too in a second. I'd say let's have a quick look into one of the setups. So I'm going pretty heavy here. Like I said, a normal setup, when you're just starting out here, doesn't need to be this strong at all. It's enough if you have, let's say, about 17 kilograms leader material. I think that's already pretty decent. I'm going totally over the top here. Also with a size 1/0 hook. For testing, maybe just go with a size 1 hook at first, and don't be surprised, some other fish might also bite then. Even the bream can come in, or the chub can just bite in here. So those are definitely also fish that go for the cheese cube, especially when using a slightly smaller hook. But that's not bad either, because that also helps gain percentages in bottom fishing. Other than that, there's really nothing special about the setup. We've just got the loop rig, a monofilament line, a mono leader, right now, size 1/0 hook, and the cheese cube. Like I said, size 1 or 1/0, I think that's a pretty good size. And there it goes again straight away here, very nice, on the next cheese cube. And the next common carp, yep, so that one of course is also consistently showing up. Let's quickly take another look into the ground bait mix. The ground bait mix I'm using right now for fishing at this spot, and with the cheese bait, the ground bait mix, you can also use it in ball form. You don't have to use PVA, you can just use the regular ball and cast those feed balls at the spot the same way. We're clipped to 21 meters at this spot, so if you cast all the way out, you'll land at around 20 meters distance with a radius of 2.5 meters. So you're still exactly in the right area to feed the spot. The ingredients, corn as a base, which is really good, especially for the tench. Then there's quite a bit of cheese in there. Milk powder is in there as well. A full 16 cheese boilie is in there. And here again, a dissolving cream boilie, also a 16 size, large components. That's why we have to be careful not to throw in too much ground bait. I'd say between 10 and 20 feed balls, that should be absolutely enough. And if you use it as PVA, also be careful. Between 100 and 200 grams of ground bait, that should be enough at first. Because there are such big components in it, whole boilies, you really have to be careful not to overfeed the spot. Yeah, that's it for this spot. Like I said, a totally classic spot here at 5563 at the Mussel Bank. This one always works really well. And this is how it looks right now. A lot of tench here. Even a leather carp came in. a small one, and I'm just gonna keep testing a bit more. I'll also test soon with the match rods, with double cheese cubes. Yeah, and if you're wondering what's he doing now at the cottage, he's buying cheese. We find cheese here at the dairy, and it's important that we have enough of this relatively expensive bait. First of all, we can of course craft the cheese cubes with it. There they are. So cheese cubes, craft them once, and then you have enough bait. For that, we need to be at least level 16, then we can craft the cheese cubes with this cheese. And now I'm already at the next water, at the old fortress. At the old fortress, we buy all the groceries because prices are best there. That also means, for example, we buy the milk powder there, this component here. We can just buy that. And of course, things like condensed milk, also an option. And the processed cheese, we can also use that really well in the ground bait mix. Yeah. And this is how a ground bait mix could look in ball form, because in the PVA variant, we can't use components like condensed milk or processed cheese. We can only use dry components, so the cheese and the milk powder. That's why I also added boilies into the PVA. And if you're not using PVA, then you can also add the processed cheese and the condensed milk, and then you've got another way to build the mix. So, go for the good old baits, the good old cheese. It still works today. You just have to test it again and again. If this helped you, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Really helps me a lot. And we'll see each other in the next video or in the live stream. Tight lines.